Hello everyone and welcome back to Jacqs Scraps. Thanks for joining me today for a special video for Country Craft Creations where we are celebrating their Seasons of Creativity subscription box 1-year birthday. Congratulations! It's been a fun year of creating projects with a purpose, which is the motto of Seasons of Creativity. This is a subscription box where you get a new curated box of crafting supplies February, June, and October that goes further than normal subscription box. It's just not a box of crafting supplies, but it's a box of crafting supplies, dedicated designers, free tutorials, free newsletter, and a private Facebook group. I will leave a link down below if you're not familiar with it and you're interested in checking it out. This is a sampling of what you can get in one Seasons of Creativity box. Lots and lots of goodies, and there's always bonus items in there, such as a free tool or die, so that makes it even funner. Now, for those that are part of the subscription box, you have all these wonderful projects that you've created, and I know you've taken photos because you've shared those with us, but what about a place to put a photo of each of the projects that you've made for Seasons of Creativity? Have 1 year in one place. And that was the idea behind this inspired design. So this is a pop-up photo card that can hold 12 to 13 images, and you would be able to capture all of those great projects that you've made throughout a year. Or you can use this for a theme for a specific event or holiday and share those wonderful photos and projects with others. So the card itself is 8 1/4 by 5 7/8. It has a belly band for the closure. And on the belly band, I've used a journal card from the collection, which I used, and that was Bloom Where You're Planted from Country Craft Creations. I used some ephemera pieces and added some little birdie flowers, and I received those from Country Craft Creations as well. So everything you see here is from there. So let's slide the band off. Now you can elect to decorate the top of your card a little bit more. I just didn't do it, but I just love this beautiful paper. So when we open the card, you get this great pop-up design. It's such a wow factor. I absolutely love it. And what I've done specifically for the Seasons of Creativity individuals is I've created a little image here that you can put in the center, and it says My Seasons of Creativity Projects 2024. I have this included in a cutting guide that I've also created for you, and I've also created cut files. So for those that are a member of Seasons of Creativity's subscription box, as well as scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations, you will be able to get the cut files, the sizing guide that goes along with it, and the cutting guide, all for free because you are members of those two groups. Now, I will also have this available in my shop for those that aren't a member and do not wish to become one. I'll have all those linked down below for you, so you can certainly go to the location of your desire. So if we look at our card a little bit closer, you'll see that there are 3 areas at the top and the bottom where you can fit 2x2 photo mats, or if you go the full size of the decorative mat, it would be a 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch photo. Now, I've also included these photo mats in the bundle that you can get. So I didn't leave you hanging there. In the center, we have 2 different type sizes. We have 2x3 here on each side. If you go the width and height of the decorative mat, it is 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. In the center, we have 3 2 3/4 by 1 3/4 photo mat areas. Or if you use the decorative mat size, that is 3 by 2. We have 2 little areas down here where actually you can put photos or sentiments. You could even put a little writing card in there and journal in there. These are 2 by 1 3/8, or the decorative mat size is 2 1/4 by 1 5/8. And then again, we have the 2 by 2 photo areas here at the bottom. So you get a nice variety of sizes for photos. You could add journaling cards here instead of a photo. But for this card, I wanted to give you the full impact of what it would be. You could put all of the projects you made for Seasons of Creativity here, a full year, all on this one card, which I think is so awesome. And it would be just like if you attended an event. You could put birthday photos here, Christmas, Halloween, just a fun way to do it. So this is the design we're making today, but I did create one more to share with you. And that is a Christmas design. For this belly band, I just put a 4 by 6 journal card here on the front, and I did mat that on some cardstock, My Colors cardstock. Again, all of these supplies came from Country Craft Creations. Oh, for this one, I used the baby blue artisan cardstock as the base, and for this one, I used the white artisan cardstock for the base. Here's the back side of that one. This collection is Sugar and Spice from Country Craft Creations. I just love it. It's so pretty. And here is the front of the card. Love the gingerbread in this one. And when we open this one up, we again have that nice dimensional pop-up. And here is the design. For this one, I wanted to show you that you could mix up having just solid color cardstock here along with photo spot areas and still have a fantastic card to share with someone. This came together so easily. You could whip these out in no time and have a wonderful gift for someone. So that is the project that we're going to be making today. Let's get started. The first thing we're going to work on is the inside card base. Now, the way that I did the inside card is that I used pattern paper to create it instead of using a solid color cardstock and then putting pattern paper on top of it. You really don't see a whole lot of the base inside card. So that's why I went ahead and started out with a pattern piece so that it would be a lot easier to create the card. And because I only created a cut file to cut out the inside base card, I did not create, additional decorative pieces to go on top of this. So you can do this however you like, but I'm just going to give you my recommendations and how I created the card. So the first thing I did for the inside card base was I used my 12 by 12 pattern paper, and I put that on my mat, uploaded the cut files that I'm providing today into Cricut Design Space because that's the machine that I'm using right now, but this can be used in other cutting machines. And then I show you step by step in a video that I'll have at the end of this tutorial how to upload and prepare your files to cut out this design on your pattern paper. As you see, we have scoring and cut lines on here, and I'll show you how to fold all this in a little bit. But at first, I want to show how to do the same thing without a cutting machine. So your first option is to use a cutting machine. So I'm going to set this one aside. For those cutting by hand, you're going to need to cut out one piece of cardstock that measures 7 3/4 by 11 1/4. Now we're going to take our piece of cardstock with the long side across the top. We're going to score at 5 5/8. Let's go ahead and fold back on that score line. And burnish. Now you're going to need a pencil so that we can make some tick marks on our card base so that we can create some additional score lines and cut lines. With the folded edge on the left-hand side and the open on the right, let's put the short side across the top. We're going to make a tick mark at 1, 2, and 3. Now let's rotate this all the way around to where we have the open side on the left short side at the top, and we're going to put a tick mark at 2 5/8, 3 5/8, and 4 5/8. Take your pencil, draw your line, all the way across. Now that we've drawn all of our lines, we want to put the fold and the long side across the top. And we're going to score at 1 all the way down to our 1 inch line here. So from 1 to 1. And you'll also be able to see that number on your scoreboard if this is the type that you're using. So score 1 to the first 1 inch line. Score at 1 3/4 all the way to the 1 inch line. The next thing we want to do is at 2 3/4, you're going to score up to the second line. So 1 line and 2. So you stop at that line that we created. Next, we're going to go over to 5, and we're going to make a line up to the second score line. Okay? Now at 6, you're going to make a score line up to the first 1 inch line going across, so just right here, and do the same at 6 3/4, right up to our first line going horizontally. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Now what we want to do is take our cardstock, we're going to make the fold on the left hand side and the short side across the top. We're going to come back in with our scoring tool, and where we've made those score lines, we're going to connect them by making another score line. Now these should land right on score lines in your scoreboard, or again, you can use your ruler and scoring tool. But we're going to go to the top of this line and connect it with another score line. Okay, so you see what I've done there? We have these 2 score lines, and we're going to connect these by making a score line in between the 2 of them. So that is the first one. This is going to be at the 2 inch. We're connecting these 2 lines with the score line, and now we're back to the 1 inch score line connecting these 2 score marks. Okay? Now we're going to turn this where the fold is facing us, and we're going to cut on the score lines that we just made in the portrait location. Okay? So I'm just going to cut on the line up to our 1 inch horizontal line that we have there. Okay, so we should have that now. Now we're going to cut on this line all the way up to our 2 inch mark. This one, the same thing. It's hard for me to see my lines. So we have this, and we're going to do the same thing here as we did there. Just cut up 1 inch to the 1 inch score line. Well, drawn line. Okay, so that's kind of what it's going to look like. Let's take the centerpiece here and work with that first. We're going to fold right on the score line that we made earlier. So I found it's easier to kind of put your fingers in here and then push down in the center while holding it here with your hand. It's because we only want to fold on this area, not anything around it. So put your fingers in and push this back while pushing with your other hand. And then do the same thing here. Your piece will look like this then. So now we're going to fold over the card, and as you can see, this piece, which is our pop out, is going to move in this direction. You can already see it moving and folding down. And now I would recommend burnishing this really well. Now we're going to come back to these two sides, but right now we're going to focus on the center. We want this in this shape, folded flat, okay? So if I open this up a bit, you can see here is the shape out here. Now let's take our card. We're going to rotate this to where the long side is across the top, as well as our folded edge. Now you might need a ruler for this unless you're really good at eyeing this, but what you want to do is at 3 1/8, you're going to come down and you're going to score from the edge down to this line here, which is our 3-inch line. This will be a little thick because we have that folded piece in here, okay? But we're making marks so that we can do some more cutting. So at 3 1/8, here in the center, and at 4 5/8. So I'm going over 4 5/8, coming down and making a score line there. Now that we have those score marks, let's rotate this to the left. So the folded area is on the left-hand side. We're going to do the same thing we did last time by connecting our two lines with a score line. Now, because this is so thick here, you may want to flip this over and do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay? Okay, so that's what it looks like, a little football goalpost. Now we're going to cut on these two score lines that we just made up to the 3-inch line going across. Like I said, it is a little thick. So if you have a hard time cutting that, you may need to use your cutter. I'm just opting for scissors. There we go. So now we have this cut out. Now we're ready to pop out these two areas. So let's do that from the inside. I'm going to just bring my hands underneath here and kind of push. Just going to push it like that to where it pops out. And again, I'm going to put my finger underneath the cutout and fold up on the score line. Just give it a little pinch and do the same to the other score line. As long as you get your finger in there and crease the score line, that's what we need. Try not to crease these to maintain the integrity of that piece. So here I'm going to kind of push up there, and that popped it out. And again, I can fold up, pinching that, and then getting the bottom score line as well. Hope this makes sense. It's kind of hard to show and tell, but you get it. So this is what it looks like from the side. Now we're going to take and fold this all over. So we have 3 pieces popped out. Push that down and give it a burnish. Okay. Now let's do the sides. We have these right here to do. So again, pushing up from the back makes it pop out in the front. Going to fold on our score line right here. Just a little pinch. So I have my finger here and one underneath here, and I'm just kind of pinching those together. That way you get just the score line area. So now this is popped out. Let's do it again over here. Pushing that forward. Bringing my finger under and one in the back. And then here again. As you can see, I made a boo-boo and I scored in the wrong spot. But this is just to show you how to do it, so just ignore that. So now we have 5 pop-out pieces. 1, 3, and 1. Fold this down and burnish that area. So you've just made the pop-up mechanism. How fun is that? Now let me switch to the pattern paper, and I'm just going to walk through what we just did, but without talking, okay? Okay, so that is our inside base card piece all prepared. Now on that one, you see I did these first, which was the easy part. And then when you do the centerpiece, just remember to do the large one first and then do these ones next, okay, when you pop them out. And that is ready. Okay, now that we have the inside card base prepared, we're going to switch to the photo mats. For this, you're going to need a 12 by 12 piece of pattern paper, or you could again use solid color cardstock. I opted for the pattern paper. I'm going to give you all the measurements that you need and how many. First, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. You'll need 3 pieces that measure 3 by 2. Then you're going to need 6 pieces that measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And 2 pieces that measure 2 1/4 by 1 5/8. Okay? So that's all your photo mats that you're going to need. Now, if you want, you could take the time to ink all your sides on everything, but because this is a blue and white design, I'm just gonna leave my edges white. I think it'll go really nicely. So we're gonna start with the 6 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 pieces. And what we're going to do now is kind of lay this back out as flat as we can get it, because we're going to add our photo mats onto the base. Now for this part, I do recommend having some acrylic spacers if you have them on hand, or you could actually create your own. You could use chipboard and cut that out. But what we're going to do is use a 1/4 of an inch as our spacer with all of our photo mats. So I'm using this 1/4 of an inch spacer that I got from Country Craft Creations. So I think I'll use my scoreboard just so that you can see kind of a reference, and it will also help when we go to place down our spacer. So I only have the one. It came in a pack of 3 different sizes. So I think using the scoreboard will be helpful. I'm going to place the spacer up here at the top. Again, if you don't have one, I would recommend taking a chipboard piece, cutting it down to be 1/4 of an inch by whatever length that you want. And we're going to take our pieces and lay these out, well, or glue them down onto our base piece. And we're going to do that in a fashion where it is 1/4 of an inch from the edge, 1/4 of an inch from the edge here, and 1/4 of an inch edge here. So something like that. Then we'll leave 1/4 of an inch space and then lay down our next piece, 1/4 of an inch space, and lay down our next piece. Like that. So then what you'll end up with is 1/4 of an inch on this side as well. So that's the pattern that we're going to be using throughout. 1/4 of an inch photo mat, 1/4 of an inch photo mat, and so on, okay? Just so that you kind of get the layout. So, let's see. Not really used these before. Okay, there we go. I thought I had my own homemade ones, but I don't know what I did with them. So this is really quite easy to put together after we get the base made. We're just spacing and putting in our photo mats. So I'm gonna put that down, put my little spacer, find the 1/4 of an inch. Oh, is that right? And again, you know what? You guys don't even have to be like exact. You could just put it where you think 1/4 of an inch is and go from there. I don't know if I like that. Let's see. Let's see how this worked. If you get the first one down and it's where you want it, then it's usually pretty easy to get the rest of them. Now we're just going to repeat the process that I showed you previously. Place the spacer here and add my next piece. Okay, so that's our first row. Now we're going to add our photo mats to these 2 little pieces right here. I would recommend adding your adhesive straight on to the little pop-out mechanism. Again, we're going to put our 1/4 of an inch spacer and then take this, and it should be centered onto this piece. You're going to place the edge of this right where your score line is here. So if you find the score line, then put your photo mat on top. When we fold this up, you can see this stands up, okay? So let's just give that a try before we go too far. Yeah. Okay. And now we can continue over here. I'm going to actually flip this around. Put my 1/4 of an inch here. I'm going to add my glue down here at the top. Not here, up here at this one, because we flipped it around. I'm going to take my piece. I'm going to have to flip this around if I want my pattern to line up. So that is important. If you're using one that has a pattern, make sure it's all going in the direction that you want it to go in. I'm looking for my score line right here, and I'm going to put it right where it's slightly over it. And I like to check mine. Okay. Let's fold this up just to make sure it will fold and go over. If you find you're folding up the bottom of your photo mat, then just move it up a bit. It's too close to the bottom. Let's try this again. Let's see. Yep, that looks good. So now when we fold this up and over, we have 2 standing up and then the 3 that are flat. To add our pieces down here, I think it'll be best if we rotate the inner card base. Actually, I find it easier putting this along the side rather than at the top. Now here again, before you put down your photo mat, remember that we have flipped this around so your image, if you have a pattern that needs to go in a certain direction, should be turned around as well. So like I want this to look like this with the larger white pieces at the top. But because we flip this around, I'm flipping around my piece so the areas with the smaller white sections are at the top. But when we flip this whole thing around, you'll see the larger white pieces are at the top, okay? So just remember, if you're using a pattern and you want it in a different direction, to turn your pieces if you rotate your base piece. Okay, we're going to glue this one on. I'm going to come down 1/4 of an inch, and I'm using my spacer there. Oh, I'm off screen. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. There. Oh, that's much easier. Why didn't I do that the first time? So for this one, it's easier to have your spacer on the side and then use your ruler to confirm that you have this at the 1/4 of an inch placement. I should have done that earlier. It was way easier. Okay, I'm going to put my 1/4 of an inch spacer down and get my next piece ready with the smaller white sections at the top. This is super easy to come together, and it makes such an impact if it's a gift. And again, I think I'm going to use my ruler. I really like doing that, just to check it. Looks good. Definitely recommend using both of those tools. Put the spacer down for the next one and grab my last piece. Okay. There's that. Next, I'm going to add my 2 smallest pieces that go here and here. Now, if you don't want to use this as a photo mat, you could use like a journal card, add a sentiment on here, or you could do another embellishment or something here in these 2 spots. For now, I think I'll just lightly tack this down until I fully decide how I'm going to decorate it, if I decorate it anymore. So I'll just put a little spot there. But you take your spacer, place your spacer down, and you should be able to follow the edge of the photo mat we already have down to place this one down. And what you should automatically get then is 1/4 of an inch up here at the top, okay? Again, place your spacer, align the edges up with the edges of this one down here, and then your placement should be good. A 1/4 of an inch up here and a 1/4 of an inch on the side, okay? Now we're going to take our two 3x2 pieces and we're going to add these to the pop-out piece here and here. We're going to add adhesive here to the bottom part of that pop-out. Take one of our photo mats and we're going to place this again down to the score line. So the edge here matches up with the score line. It will land on top of these two pieces, so that's okay. Just center it on there. And again, before you push down too far, I would test it by popping this up to make sure, you know, you have it centered and that it's not getting folded at the score line. So you want it to have it sit like right on top of the score line like that. And that seems to be working, so I'm going to burnish that down. Now before I add my other piece down here, I'm going to go ahead and add my center photo mat, which is the third 3x2 piece. And I have something special for those that are in seasons of creativity. You'll be able to use that image if you like to put on top of here, or just put that in place of this one. So for this one, you want to add your adhesive. So here's the pop out. You want to add your adhesive here. So we're adding adhesive, nothing, adhesive, nothing, adhesive, nothing. Okay, I hope that makes sense. This piece, again, layer that on top of the other pieces. Now for this one, you should see that it lays right at the end of these two pieces. So as you can see, you have a nice line there. And then you'll know for sure you're not going over the score line. Okay, I'm gonna move this out and then we'll add the last one here. So we just add our adhesive down here on the bottom of our center pop out here. And again, we have our score line right here. We're going to line this up almost to the end. Now here, your photo mat will go below these two photo mats, okay? Just ever so slightly, like that. Just make sure that these three in the center are all lined up so that it's aesthetically pleasing. And then let's pop this up. That's how it looks popped up. And give this a fold and a burnish. So that's how it looks with just the photo mats on it, the decorative photo mats, right? Super cute. I am so loving this project. It'll be perfect for all kinds of different situations. Now, as part of this design, I've included photo mats to fit all of our decorative photo mats so that whoever gets this knows where to put photos if you're giving it as a gift. But if you're giving it as a gift, you may go ahead and put real photos on here, right? So this tells you what size everything is. And this was specifically created for the Country Craft Creations Seasons of Creativity subscription box members. And the idea is to add your project picture that you've created throughout the year on each of these areas. So that's where we come up with the number for this. So if you followed Seasons of Creativity for a year subscription, then you'll have one photo mat area for one project per month. And in the center, you could add your photo mat, or you could add these little, I don't know, labels that I created for you. There's a printout for this as well. And it says, My Seasons of Creativity Projects 2024. I did add a little Wilbur here and the curated box of goodies. There is one without Wilbur in the box and just has this image in the center if you prefer. And then that can go in the center like that. So that's how you can use the photo mats. If you're giving it as a gift for somebody to fill in, use the photo mats and then they'll know where to put their photos, or just straight up add your photos to these areas. Like I said before, you could add a word sentiments here to these smaller two pieces. I think that would be fun as well. For me, I'm going to add my photo mats using Scotch Restickable glue so that if I do give this to someone to use, they can either leave the photo mat on or remove it and put their own photo, or I can leave it like this until I decide to use it for a special occasion. That's the bliss of using restickable glue, is you have options. And these should all have about 1/8 of an inch border all the way around the photo mats. I'm going to add this. It's super cute. If I do say so myself, I did create it. Now these, I might add a little sentiment there. I'm going to dig into my stash and see what I have. Okay, let me check my stash and I'll be right back. So I found a few options for these areas. You could put even circle images there. I think that's cute. Or this one here. These are all ephemera pieces from the Bloom Where You're Planted collection. I think those work out well. I found this one that was cute. And then I found this one that says Love Lives Here, which I think I'm going to use. I really like that. And then this one, Old Fashioned Pansy Mix. That's cute. It all depends on the theme that you're going for and what you might want to put here. I just think those are adorable. Or you could do, you know, one image, have the other one be a photo mat like that. Or just keep it like we had before, just all images there. Oh, that looks just so nice. I don't know if I want to put this on here or not. So for right now, I'm just going to add these because I think that looks cute. For now, that's all I need. But I did want to show you that you have options. And another thing I was thinking about, I meant to show you earlier. Let me remove this one. If you want, on the four corners here and up here, you could cut a piece of cardstock or pattern paper that would be 4.5 inches. That would be 4.5 inches. That would be 4.5 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches tall. Score down the center at 2 1/4, and then fold over. So what you would have then, you could have little pop-outs. Because you really couldn't do pockets on this, but you could do one that flipped open, like a little booklet. So if you want to do that, there's another option for you. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it like this. I like how that looks. I just wanted to show you. So here is the image without Wilbur. And then I also included the 1-year birthday logo for Seasons of Creativity. There's a little postal stamp like here that you could add on here if you wanted. And then there's a larger one. So if you're with Country Craft Creations and you have Seasons of Creativity, you can use these other images. I think that's super fun. It's really the main reason for this tutorial today. However, this can be used for any occasion and by anyone. So we have our card all ready to go. We need to create a cover for this. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock. I'm using white artisan cardstock. And this will measure 8 1/4 inches wide by 11 3/4 inches tall. We're going to score this in half at 5 7/8. Go ahead and fold and burnish that. Okay, after I folded this and put my inside card base in here, this is what it would look like, just so that you can see it. It's, I don't know, the white was a bit too much for me. So what I decided to do was use this baby blue artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations. It's got the linen texture to it. It's a really pretty blue. And when I put these two together, I liked it better. The white wasn't so in your face. So I'm going to go with this color. So I cut and scored this the same way I did the white one I just showed you. And now we're going to decorate the front of this a little bit before we attach the two pieces together. What I have here is a piece from the 8x8 collection. I've mainly been using 12x12s, and I had the 12x12 cut and ready to use. And here it is. But I didn't like it. There was something about it at this size I did not like. So I pulled out the 8x8 and I thought, well, let's see if I like that any better. And actually, I do like that better. So I'm gonna use this one. Just gonna go ahead and glue this down. Did I tell you the measurements? This is 7 3/4 by 5 3/8. I mean, look, even this would go. This collection is just so gorgeous. I'm gonna bring back my scoreboard and my 1/4 inch spacer. Just, you know, might as well. I've got it out. So I'm going a 1/4 inch up from the bottom. And a 1/4 inch from the side, so that I have a nice 1/4 inch border all the way around. Now for the top, I've kind of got this all laid out the way I want it, but I'm using one of the journal cards that says Love Grows Here, and I have two of these ephemera pieces. This was from the 12x12, this one's from the 8x8, and then I added these little birdie handmade flowers that I had in my stash from Country Craft Creations. I don't know if I got this in a design team package, is probably likely, or a kit. But I put two down here with the larger one and then one up here at the top. I just laid these down kind of in the open space here. just to kind of fill that in. But I want to go ahead and glue this down. It's going to hang over the bottom a little bit, which I don't mind. I kind of like that. Gives it a little bit of dimension. And these little flowers, they stick really good, so I'm impressed with that. And then up here at the top, see, I can't even get it off. I'll just add my little ephemera piece up here. Again, putting something in this area that didn't have anything. So now we have this mimicking the top. Okay, so we've got those two pieces. In addition, you're going to need 2 strips of pattern cardstock, and these measure 12 by 2.5. We're going to make a belly band out of this, and I was going to cut it down, but I thought we would just do it together. So what I'm going to do is overlap these two by 1/2 inch. So I'm going to bring out my scoreboard again. I'm telling you, I use this thing for everything. It just really helps keep things level and keeps everything where it should be. So down here, I'm going to go to the 11.5, and we could even make a score line there if we wanted. That's where I'm going to overlap this. So I'm going to add my adhesive. Going to add my second piece right on top. Now for this, what we're going to do is add that here right where we added the 2 pieces together. It will hide that. And I guess I'm just guessing at this point. So unlike me. Let's check this out. So we got about 3/4 of an inch there, and about 3/4 of an inch there. The next thing we would do is really wrap this around our card. But what I'm going to do is not do that until we get this on the inside so that we have the right thickness and everything going around it. And I know you may think we're wasting some when we go to cut this off, but you know, we'll use it in some other project. Okay, so now we're ready to attach this to the inside of our card base or cover at this point. I think I'll bring my scoreboard back in. Just so I can keep that 1/4 of an inch going. Make sure everything's in the right direction, and then I'm gonna flip it to the back side and add my adhesive. You can use tape adhesive or wet glue. I'm gonna opt for the wet glue just in case I need to make any shifts when I go to put this down. Wet glue will give you a little more leeway. I'm sorry if you couldn't see, but I was just really adding glue to the back side of this. I changed my camera angle right in the middle of this project. Okay. So this is all the way over to the edge here. Got my 1/4 of an inch spacer. I'm going to go up a 1/4 of an inch as well. So I'm just going to use this as my little mark. And I'm going to put this down. when we put this down, it should land right at where the score line is. Let's try this again. So we want to put this right outside of the score line. Go up to it. I forgot my famous line. So line this up to the score line, but don't go over. I'm just using the spacer over here to make sure I get it all the way over to the right place that I need it to be. And then I'm just going to kind of let the rest of this land. Again, you should have 1/4 of an inch here, here, and here. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my adhesive to this side, and I'm going to fold this down and over it, I think. Or, no, I probably should stand it up. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And we'll see if that works. Okay, now we're going to stand this piece up and this piece up. So when you lay it flat, it should work, and when you fold it over, it should work, okay? So if you find bubbling in the center here, that means you didn't put your inner base piece close enough to the score line. You want it to be close. I don't know if you can see there. So here's my score line for the inner one, and there's my score line for the outer one. They're lined right up with each other. Okay, I'm going to fold this over and burnish. I love how this sets up on its own, just so fun. And remember, you don't even have to put photo mats in every little square. You can leave just, you know, that as a place of reference. You can add a journal card there. You can mash this up however you want it to look. That's what's fun about this. I love it. All right, now we have our belly band. So I'm going to wrap this around. When I wrap it around, I don't want it to be so tight that when you add a photo, there's no wiggle room. So you definitely want wiggle room in the belly band. Okay, so you can see here and here, there's room to grow. So I think what I'll do here is just take one of these, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to cut that side down. I'm going to cut it down to, why don't we say 6. So for the piece that we're going to put on the bottom, I'm going to cut off 6 inches here. We'll bring this back in, wrap this around, and then that gives you about 5/8 of an inch, I would say. So I'm just going to add my adhesive, line these up. Remember, make it tight enough, but not too tight. This one is really a little loose, a little loosey. So that's it. That is our pop-up photo card. I had lots of fun creating this. I hope you did too. I hope if you didn't try it today that you will bookmark this video and try it again another time. This is the perfect thing to make when you need one of those quick projects that will make a big impact. I love how this just opens up and just, wow, it's just a wow factor, right? I mean, look at all the goods you can put in here. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for our Seasons of Creativity special video tutorial. And if you are not a member of Seasons of Creativity, I will leave the link in the description box below so you can check it out and maybe join us over on our private Facebook group. All right, everyone, I'll see you next time. To import the file into Cricut Design Space, I've opened up Cricut Design Space here on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I have my files open. On the Cricut canvas, you're going to notice an Upload button in the lower left-hand corner in the menu area. Click on that, then you'll see Upload at the top. We're going to upload an image, so I'm going to click on the button here that says Upload Image. Here you can drag your files and drop them, or you can click the Browse button and it will open a window where you can locate your file that you want to use. I typically drop and drag. That's why I have the two items open on my screen. Now I'm going to go over and grab my file and drag it over to the box. You can see that it's highlighted now because it's a different color, and I'm going to lift my finger from my mouse and it drops in the image. You can see here a preliminary look of what it looks like. Down below, click on Continue. Here you have an option to change the name, add tags, and even add it to a collection. And in the lower right-hand corner, click Upload. And now the image is on your canvas. The first thing I do is go up here to the top menu and I look at the size to confirm that it is the actual size that it should be. That's why I include a sizing guide so that you know this 7.75 by 11.25 is correct. Yay! It only took them forever to fix this issue. So over here in the Layers panel, you'll see the image there. I'm going to click on the arrow and it will drop down all of the individual elements that I use to create the full image. Without clicking on this image, you can see it's still selected by looking at the corners. It'll have little boxes there. What we want to do is take any of the images that are sideways, like this one here. I'm going to hit the Control key and hold that down while I click the next ones, and so on. So go ahead and click all of the sideways ones, or landscape. And that is all of them. Okay, now I'm going to come over here to the operation menu area, click on the arrow there, select Score, and you can immediately see that any of the images that are going landscape are now score lines. Now we can click off the image, but we do want to select the entire image and everything on it. Come over here to the right-hand lower corner and click on Attach. Now you'll see that the actual image says Attach. You can double-click this to rename it if you like. And then we are going to make it. So just click on the Make in the upper right-hand corner. And now you can see the image placed on the mat. Hit Continue. Now you need to set your base material. A lot of the time I use the medium cardstock, which is 80 pound, or I use this heavy cardstock. Typically with Artisan, I do use the heavier cardstock just so that I have a nice clean cut. You're going to want to load the double scoring wheel, but I've also found if you have the single scoring wheel, you can load that and Cricut does not know the difference between a single and double scoring wheel. So that's a little inside tip for you. And then go ahead and use your machine to insert your mat and cut out the image. After you're done scoring, it will tell you to put in the cutting tool to finish the cut. And that's how you do it.